Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regalytics. Welcome to this week's regulatory roundup. The regulator of the week is California. The governor signed 52 bills from electric vehicle charging stations to financial aid, CCPA rules on vessels. And on top of it, the California Natural Resources Agency released a draft of the California Climate Adaptation Strategy. Public review is welcome through November 17th, and there's a webinar on October 22nd at 11 a.m. Pacific if you are super excited about it. The topic of the week is consumer protection. The CFPB, the FTC, and FinCEN issued reports on fraud, and the statistics are pretty astounding. The CFPB, for example, has received the highest volume of complaints in agency history, which is over 75,000 complaints per month. Even worse, a new staff report from the FTC outlines the fact that communities of color are impacted differently when it comes to fraud. There's actually a series of studies that came out, and some include the type of fraud. So, for example, Black and Latino communities more often report frauds in financial products with less consumer protections, such as cash, cryptocurrency, money orders, and debit cards. FinCEN has seen marked increases in the number and severity of ransomware attacks since late 2020, and FinCEN's recent analysis of, get this, okay, just ransomware related SARs in the first half of 2021 is up 30% from all SARS filed for the entirety of the 2020 calendar year. And that's the number. If you do it by value, the total value of suspicious activity reported in, again, just 6 months in just ransomware related SARS is $590 million, which is more than all of 2020, which is $416 million. So that sucks, which leads to BaFin, the German regulator. The German Payment Services Supervision Act has outlined precise requirements for the use of information technology and cybersecurity protections that are required for payment and e-money institutions. The CFTC settled charges with Tether and Bitfinex at $42.5 million. The monster fine, which is $41 million, went to Tether for issuing a US dollar Tether token stablecoin for false and misleading statements. Bitfinex was smaller, $1.5 million, for failure to implement and maintain systems designed to prevent unlawful retail commodity transactions. For those of you avidly following CBDCs, well, it's really a thing. The Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, told all of the G7 finance ministers that the U.S. supports the G7 public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies. Diversity was a hot topic this week as well. Arizona gets a special mention for launching the very first investor education website in Spanish. I actually found that surprising. The New York Department of Financial Services is adding continuing education requirements for insurers about flood insurance, since it's becoming more common due to climate change. And this is in addition to the new requirement that all DFS registered insurers must take diversity, inclusion, and elimination of bias training. They are the first state to do this as well. There is a brouhaha about board seats for the various Federal Reserve districts. I guess there are seats opening up in Boston and the Dallas Fed boards, and the Republicans of the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs are trying to keep politics out of the selection process and also pushing for transparency. I would also like to hope for a little diversity as well. Can we get that? In LIBOR news, the Interest Rate Benchmark Reform Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the CFTC's Market Risk Advisory Committee, voted to select November 8th as the date for switching interdealer trading conventions from LIBOR to SOFR. Also, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency has provided an updated self-assessment tool for banks to evaluate their preparedness for the end of LIBOR. And in fun news, the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection has authorized the full launch of online sports wagering and iCasino, which includes Rush Street Interactive, FanDuel, and DraftKings. So that's for you, Scott. That's it this week for Regalytics. I'll see you next Wednesday on LinkedIn and YouTube.